National security, another marching order from the Commander-in-Chief to service chiefs.
We have zero tolerance for kidnapping, especially of school children, and we shall deal with such outrages decisively.
Voting concluded on constitutional amendment. Local government autonomy accepted. Life pension for legislative heads rejected.
This bill has conclusively failed, but that's a good message to our country that we don't sit here to do things for ourselves.
Caring for the African child, African Union launches new guidelines for homegrown school feeding program on the continent.
National Homegrown School Feeding Program has undoubtedly had a major impact on school children.
Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. We're live in Abuja. I'm Ian Ray John. Adiola Komiakere joins us from Lagos, while Felicia Daliop Samaila is in Jos. And it's good to know you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on YouTube channel, NTA News Online. Our Twitter handle is at NTA News Now. You can also visit our Facebook page, NTA Network News, and Instagram, NTA Network, for updates. Now, let's begin. President Muhammadu Buhari has left Abuja for Nairobi on the invitation of his Kenyan counterpart, Uhuru Kenyatta. The president was seen off at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by his Chief of Staff, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ministers of the FCT and Special Duties, Minister of State for Health, Inspector General of Police, Director General, Department of State Services, and other senior government officials. While in Nairobi, President Buhari will participate in activities commemorating the 50th anniversary of the United Nations Environmental Programme. The theme of the special session is strengthening UNEP for the implementation of the environmental dimension of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. He's expected to deliver Nigeria's national statement at the event and participate in high-level dialogue sessions on the environment. Organizers say for 50 years, UNEP has coordinated a global effort with member states to address the world's biggest environmental challenges. It is an opportunity to reflect on the past and envision the future for reinvigorating international cooperation and spur collective action to address the triple planetary crisis of climate change. And before departing to Kenya, President Muhammadu Buhari directed the nation's armed forces and other security services to address with immediate effect all cases of security breaches, economic sabotage, and wanton destruction of lives and property across the country. This was while declaring open the National Security Seminar organized by the Alumni Association of the National Defense College in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor and the National Defense College. State House correspondent Adam Musambo brings us details.
The seminar 11 in the series has as its theme appraisal of national resilience and policy implementation in Nigeria's national security management. Coming at a time when the nation's security landscape is challenged by mutational security paradigms that threatened Nigeria's corporate existence, the seminar focuses on nationalism, nation building, national security, and national institutional preparedness.
Hopefully, the deliberations will interrogate our ability as a nation to withstand adversities and crises in diverse ways and propose a way forward to resolving our challenges.
We shall continue to support the government in its efforts to secure this country and bring peace to her citizens. We are available to assist in any task given to us by Mr. President.
Let me assure you that Mr. President is firmly committed and will go to great lengths to ensure that in line with its constitutional responsibility, security and welfare of the people shall remain the primary purpose of government. We must therefore all join hands to fight criminality and provide the desired people-oriented support for security agencies to ensure that this nation is a better place for all of us.
President Muhammadu Buhari expressed the belief that no nation can survive in a highly competitive, strategic and globalized environment if it cannot secure itself. To this end, the armed forces of Nigeria have been deployed in virtually all states of the Federation to combat any security challenge.
I wish to assure Nigerians that the issue of kidnapping that has bedeviled us in the recent past is being tackled with all seriousness. We have zero tolerance for kidnapping, especially of school children, and we shall deal with such outrages decisively. The disruption of our educational system and economic activities will not be tolerated.
Already, he said, adequate measures have been put in place towards providing modern equipment, boosting the manpower of all security agencies and financing their operations within and without the country.
Security is not just a military concern, but a challenge for all Nigerians. No matter the amount of money invested in military operations, without the support of the people, display of patriotism and preparedness for everyone to be ready to take ownership of securing our environment, success will be limited. Consequently, we must look beyond the military and the security agencies for enduring solutions to the security challenges we are facing.
If we all join hands to keep peace, fight criminality, and provide the desired people-oriented support for the security agencies, Nigeria would be a better place for all of us.
A comprehensive report with actionable recommendations to support efforts of government at achieving sustainable national security and stability is expected at the end of the seminar lasting 2 days. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Armed Forces is renewing cooperation with the Egyptian military in order to boost combat efficiency. This came to the fore at a conference of military cooperation between armed forces of Nigeria and Egypt. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the details.
This is the second time representatives of the Nigerian and Egyptian armed forces are meeting to deliberate on areas of mutual interest. Their focus include the development of the capacity of special forces, air defense industry, equipment maintenance, border security, among others.
Let me re-emphasize that we hope to, at the end of this meeting, strengthen the issue of intelligence sharing and special forces training in particular. And above all, we are hoping that it will afford us opportunity of finalizing the MOU.
Similarly, the Defense Headquarters has commenced a joint integrated operation campaign planning course at the Nigerian Army War College, Abuja, for operational and strategic campaign to develop the capacity of officers and other security agencies.
The inclusion of the Department of State Services and other security agencies on this course is to generate a synergy, promote rapport and understanding in roles of campaign planning, particularly now that the Armed Forces of Nigeria is engaged in asymmetric warfare, which made most operations joint and inter-agency.
Instructors from the British military training team, BMAT, and the Defense Headquarters are conducting the 2 weeks program. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And away from our shores now, massive Russian convoy near Kyiv as explosion destroyed government building in Ukraine's largest city. And European Union Council and Commission meets Ukraine's request for raids. Let's join Charles Arthur for details.
It's day 6 of the Russian-Ukraine war, and there is no sign of the crisis ending soon. A Russian column more than 60 miles long by satellite images is closing in on Kyiv, with United States officials warning that the number of Putin's troops could overcome Ukraine's resistance. Putin has vowed Russia would continue its military operations in Ukraine until its goals are met. On Tuesday, that threat was matched with action when explosion hit the government building in Kharkiv, Ukraine's largest city. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of war crimes for bombing the city of Kharkiv and targeting civilians, saying Ukraine has no military base in Kharkiv if Putin claims he's targeting Ukraine's military infrastructure. Meanwhile, the EU has said at a meeting that concrete deliveries are already scheduled for Poland, Lithuania and Czechia, and many other member states have pledged their help. This is based on a list of requests from Ukraine. Meanwhile, the African Union has called for caution over the widespread reports that Africans living in Ukraine had been blocked from leaving the country. This is coming after social media outrage across the continent following amateur footage and pictures showing instances where Africans were allegedly denied entry into evacuation buses and trains, while some were blocked at border points by security personnel. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Many thanks, Charles, for that update. And to discuss live via Zoom on the Russian-Ukraine war is Dr. Bamishaye Victor, the former president, Nigerian Students Association in Ukraine. Many thanks, Dr. Bamishaye.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now, you lived in Ukraine for about 9 years, and I also know that you were in Poland for like 2 years. You understand the terrain and you're in touch with Nigerians there. Could you tell us what exactly the situation is at the moment in Ukraine?
Thank you very much. The situation in Ukraine right now is very terrible. Because although, yes, it's getting better compared to what it was 2-3 days ago, but it's terrible in the sense of people are panicking and the people don't know exactly what to do in terms of how long it will take to cross the border, particularly now at the Polish border. We found it that it's easier to cross through the Hungarian, the Romanian, the Slovakian. Even it was easier for a lot of people some people, a minute number, who pass through Odessa to Moldova, but we have a lot of problem at some entry points at Poland, where from the Ukrainian end of things, things are difficult and students are not able to enter as they come. So you find out that students are spending about 2 nights in the freezing cold. You know, February is usually the coldest time of winter, and of course nobody planned for this, but if people would be attended to on a first-come, first-served basis, we would not be seeing a reason for students to scream discrimination. So that's the terrible situation, particularly at the Polish border, at the Ukrainian end of that border. But generally, in terms of call to response, a lot of Nigerians in diaspora, are responding. Not just Nigerians, but Europeans themselves. They are joining teams of volunteers. We have many teams of volunteers that we've set up, and we've had massive response from Europeans, and many of them, for instance, in Moldova, I've heard stories of people giving out their houses, to welcome African immigrants who are crossing these borders because of this, war. And in Romania, you hear stories of how they set up many food shops and they're able to, welcome very well the Nigerians who are coming in. So, but it's just the fact that right now, at the Polish border particularly, and number two, these people I must speak of, the people in Sumy. Sumy is a city that is bordered to Russia. Okay. And so what has happened now is that, yes, okay?
Yes, could you just land on your thoughts? You were telling us about what's happening at that particular border.
Yes, Sumy is the city, that is at the Russian border, and it's basically been cut off from the rest of Ukraine, and so the students there are not able to leave Sumy, and because again there are a lot of shellings and bombings and fightings going on there, so it's not even safe. Even if the bridges are not bombed, it's not safe for them to move. So we need that the special corridor be negotiated, maybe to Russia, where Nigerians and the evacuation can take place. And I think it's something the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is already talking about.
Working on. Okay, yes.
To be more expedient.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, a very sad situation at the moment. But what do you think? You think the efforts of government so far, is it meeting the demands of the students and other Nigerians in Ukraine?
I want to believe that the government is putting in effort, and of course, as a situation that is unexpected, they are overwhelmed. But I think we can always re-strategize, and I think if most of the embassies, particularly the Polish embassy, the Nigerian embassy in Poland, we take a cue from what the embassy in Romania is doing. They would have been able to solve a lot of things head-on. The Romanian embassy, they were quite proactive. You know, they were at the border earlier before we had influx of students coming in, and so they were able to negotiate the coming in of Nigerians into different parts of Romanian border. So I can say the Nigerian government is doing their very best, but we can.
I'm sure they will do much more. Thank you so much, Dr. Bamishaye Victor, for your time tonight, and we hope that hopefully things will get better for Nigerians trapped in Ukraine at the moment.
Thank you for having me.
All right, this is NTA Network News, and it's important to know that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on our YouTube channel, NTA News Online. Twitter is at NTA News Now. You can also visit our Facebook page, NTA Network News, and Instagram is NTA Network for updates. Time for a quick break. Please stay. Thank you for staying. President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the Senate requesting the amendment of the Electoral Act 2022, recently signed into law. In a letter to the legislative, the president explained that the Electoral Act 2022 no doubt will reposition Nigeria's electoral process for the better, but that Section 84, subsection 12 will amount to disenfranchisement of political appointees against their already provided constitutional rights.
Use qualification and disqualification criteria that is ultra-vires the Constitution by way of importing blanket restriction and disqualification to serving political office holders of which they are constitutionally accorded protection.
Senate passed the 2022 Appropriations Act Amendment Bill for the first reading as it confirmed the nomination of Professor Mansour Bin Dawa as non-executive commissioner of the Nigerian Communications Commission. Meanwhile, Senate has concluded voting on the Fifth Amendment to the 1999 Constitution. It passed the bills that seek to provide for local government financial and administrative autonomy, independent candidacy, and to make basic education a fundamental right of all citizens. The legislators, however, rejected the bills that sought to alter Section 84 and 124, which seek to provide pension for life for presiding officers of the National and State Assemblies, special seats for women in National and State Assemblies, and diaspora voting. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports.
Years after the inauguration of the National Assembly Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution, the Senate has voted on 68 bills.
Many constitutional amendment bills were referred to it, most of which border on good governance.
The legislators passed the bills that seek to abolish joint state and local government account, financial autonomy of state legislature and state judiciary, the Devolution of Power Part 1 and 2, second schedule, which seeks to move airports and railways from exclusive list to the concurrent list, the bills that seek to provide 3 months timeline for the presentation of annual budgets by the president and governors and to summon them by the legislature when the need arises, 6 months timeline to submit ministerial nominees, bill for the separation of the office of the Accountant General of the Federation from that of the federal government also passed.
Bill number 1, 2022, Local Government Financial Autonomy. Distinguished colleagues, the results are there. Yes, 92 senators, no, 2 senators, abstain, 0, total 94. Carried is passed.
Part 1, second schedule, which also sought to include value-added tax on the exclusive list, and the bill that seeks to provide life pension for presiding officers of the National and State Assemblies could not scale through.
This bill has conclusively failed, but that's a good message to our country. that we don't sit here to do things for ourselves.
The bills that attracted so much solidarity from Nigerian women, led by Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Buhari, to the National Assembly on the day this report was laid, and wife of the Vice President and others who witnessed voting on the bills, which sought to create special seats for women in the National and State Assemblies and to provide 35% affirmative action for women, met the brick wall as it failed to attract the required number of votes.
This democracy, there are some clauses that I would have wished that they pass through, like that of the extra seat for women. The review on the judiciary didn't go through.
It's a great disappointment. We kind of saw it coming because we knew the men didn't quite believe in these bills, but we will not be deterred.
The National Assembly will now transmit the bills to all the 36 state assemblies, where at least 24 of them are expected to also vote on each of the bills. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Also, at the House of Representatives, more than 2/3 of the Constitution Amendment bills secured votes required for approval. Among those that failed to secure the needed votes are those seeking specific increases for women in some political offices and the placement of VAT on the exclusive legislative list. National Assembly correspondent Lamiala reports that bills seeking financial autonomy for local governments, legislature and judiciary were also endorsed by House members.
Attempts to put to rest the recent disagreements over who takes charge of value-added tax between the federal government and some states by way of constitutional review suffered a setback in the House of Representatives as members voted against its inclusion in the exclusive legislative list. Movements of airports, railway and correctional services from exclusive list to concurrent were successful, just as the bill enabling states to generate and distribute electricity. The separation of the office of the Attorney General of the Federation from that of the Minister of Justice and the bill separating the office of the Accountant General of the Federation and of the federal government were approved. Members drew their weight behind the bill granting power to summon the President and State Governor to the National and State Assemblies. Other fundamental provisions that made it through during the voting are the bills to establish National and State Council of Traditional Rulers and inclusion of former presiding officers of the National Assembly as members of the Council of State. 2 women bills, the 111 special legislative seats and the affirmative action bill, which were voted upon in the presence of the wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Shimbajo, could not garner the required number of votes.
If you do your math and you do your statistics, you will understand that it is these women that come out en masse to vote for you and I. They come out en masse to vote for you and I. You cannot now be seen working against their interests.
That given the circumstances that all other clauses that have gone out now were against the women, so to say, plead to honorable members to please make sure that this thing passes, and if need be, I would like to move for an amendment to make it 20%, not just 10%.
It does not hurt. It does not injure. It does not do any harm to the Federal Republic if we bring our women folk up to speed.
The only bill passed through voice vote to pacify women is the bill seeking reservation of 20% quota for women as ministers and commissioners.
Thank you immensely for the contribution, resilience, patience, and you have demonstrated your leadership by staying behind to the conclusion. And I want to thank you, and I wish our constituents will see those who are really working for them.
All the bills approved by the National Assembly, however, have to secure same approval of 2/3 of state houses of assembly across the Federation. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, and UN Women have reacted to failure of the bill seeking additional seats for women in state houses of assembly and federal lawmakers to get 2/3 majority.
I would call it a dark day for Nigerian women, and sadly for it to come on a day that we are flagging off the International Women's Celebration. We had so much hope and we thought that we would receive a special gift for Nigerian women. However, I want to urge Nigerian women to remain resilient and strong, that despite what has happened today, it is not yet over. The struggle continues. We will not give up. We'll keep pushing, and we will strategize.
And as Nigerian women grieve, INEC has made available to political parties soft copies of the list of persons registered as voters in 2021. This is in compliance to Section 10 of the Electoral Act 2022, which mandates INEC to present to political parties a list of new voters within the first 60 days of each year. Meanwhile, following the release of timetable for the 2023 general elections, INEC has displayed the notice of election in all its offices nationwide. And away from electoral matters, new guidelines for design and implementation of the homegrown school feeding program has been launched by the African Union Development Agency, AUDA NEPAD, towards advancing the school feeding agenda for Africa. Ruth Aguele reports that this was during the commemoration of the 7th Africa Day for School Children, School Feeding, organized by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in Abuja.
From 70 naira to 100 naira per meal, per child, with more than 9 million children benefiting from the National Homegrown School Feeding Program in 53,000 schools across the country. The program continues to impact lives. To advance the scheme, new guidelines for the design and implementation of the program is being launched to commemorate the 7th African Day for School Feeding on the continent, with the theme Nutrition and Human Capital Development in Africa through increased investment in homegrown school feeding.
The National Homegrown School Feeding Program has undoubtedly had a major impact on school children through a significant increase in school enrollment and attendance, along with a corresponding improvement in the nutrition and health status of beneficiary pupils, credited to the nutritious meal that is now made freely available to them at their respective schools.
And the final review report of Nigeria stated it, that Nigeria has done beautifully well in terms of humanitarian services.
This hurricane of positive programming in school feeding captures not just feeding children, but also empowering women in the communities where the schools exist.
Working as a team to actualize the guidelines, which highlight 5 quality standards, these partners believe will pave way for the African child to fulfill their dreams. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
In other news, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State has commended the urban renewal program of the River State government and the way it has judiciously managed the state's resources. The governor of Bauchi State was speaking while inaugurating the Oro Abali flyover, the 6th in the series of the flyovers embarked upon by the River State government. Ogedi Onyekwere reports.
Since the inception of the present administration in the state, Governor Wike is in a hurry to change his narrative of development. This he is doing through the urban renewal project of his administration and the flag-off and construction of roads in the hinterland of the state, among other life-impacting projects of the administration. Most striking is the flag-off and construction of 10 flyovers in the state, 5 of which have been inaugurated and the 6th will be inaugurated soonest. Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, flagging off the Rumo-Kurishi Elimbu flyover, which is the 10th in the series, extolled the sterling leadership qualities of Governor Wike and his zeal to develop the state infrastructure-wise.
He has raised the bar of subnational leadership in this country. We are very proud to be associated with him. Some of his templates that have really been implemented, some of them that you can touch them in terms of improving the quality of life of our people.
I don't want the contractor to use that as an excuse. Now what? The people don't want to use. No, you are paying your money as you are paying your money, use without diminishing those properties that are affected.
The Rumo-Krushi Elimbu flyover is 840 meters long, and the bridge will cover 526.5 meters with 313 meters transition zone, among other features that will make the project good for the motoring public. The Rivers State government had earlier signed a memorandum of understanding with Julius Berger for the construction of the Rumo-Krushi Elimbu flyover. In Port Harcourt, Oge Dinyekwere, NTA News.
And from Port Harcourt, we head to Lagos, where Adeola will feed us with more news. Adeola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Iere. Africa's leading telecoms giant, MTN Nigeria, has embarked on brand refresh strategy that has brought about a new look aimed at repositioning the brand ahead of its MTN 2025 ambition. Amaka Owo captured the event and now reports.
MTN Nigeria's new brand identity.
Fantastic!
MTN Nigeria has recorded another milestone since its inception in Nigeria in 2001. The unveiling of its visual identity recently in Lagos provides an opportunity in articulating the context behind the logo. With the unique question, what are we doing today? The Chief Marketing Officer explains that this translates into progress by adopting a multiple digital platform by the year 2025.
The logo is now minimalistic. We've removed the red, we've removed the blue, we've removed the box and freed the oval. So we've kept our staples, of course our key lettering MTN, we've kept our sunshine yellow, and we've kept our oval. And we've stripped away everything else. And we used to italicize MTN, and now it's just the regular font. So that's what we've done to the logo. We now have a new positioning, right, to help us activate and bring the brand to life. We stand for progress. We want to provide Nigerians with opportunities for progress. We know Nigerians are resilient. We know what it takes for them to get to where they are. So we want to provide that platform to enable them to excel. And that is why we did the brand relaunch today.
The Chief Sales and Distribution Officer believes that MTN Nigeria understands how to truly unlock the full benefits of the digital world by driving progressive thinking.
Our strategic intent for the immediate future and beyond is captured in our ambition 2025, providing digital solutions to support Africa's progress.
With a core emphasis on doing, MTN Nigeria is set to build the most valuable platforms and accelerate portfolio growth. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Telecoms will go to the financial institution. Nigeria's first-tier financial institution, Zenith Bank PLC, has recorded a double-digit growth of 10% in gross earnings, with a proposed 3 naira 10 kobo per share dividend payment to customers for 2021 financial year ended December 31 of the same year. Management of Zenith Bank PLC, through an audited financial results presented to the Nigeria's Exchange Group, said the bank, the best commercial bank in Nigeria, achieved a 23% year-on-year growth in non-interest income. Abolade Salami reports.
Several laurels in its kitty as the leading commercial bank in global finance, corporate governance, financial services, and best Tier 1 capital bank in infrastructure development, Zenith Bank PLC has continued to widen the gap of leadership in service delivery, performance, and earnings. Despite a challenging macroeconomic environment occasioned by COVID-19, which led to losses for most institutions in the financial statements, Zenith Bank was able to weather the storm as the bank grew its gross earnings from 696.5 billion naira to 765.6 billion naira. The bank had a leap in profit before tax by 10% to gain 280.4 billion naira from an initial deposit of 255.9 billion naira. The increase was attributed to growth in the top line and very strong management of the treasury portfolio that accelerated efficiency, resulting in a drop in interest expense by 12% from 121.1 billion in 2020 to 106.8 billion naira in 2021. In testament to the capacity of the financial institution ability to service delivery, Zenith Bank grew its customer deposits by 21% to 6.47 trillion naira from 5.34 trillion naira. The growth in customer deposits was driven majorly from corporate and retail customers. The bank's total assets inched up by 11% with an increase of 8.4 trillion naira in the previous year to 9.45 trillion naira in 2021. Management of the bank said this was achieved on the growth in customer deposits. In the year under review, the group also recorded impressive liquidity and capital adequacy ratios of 71.6% and 21%, which remained above regulatory thresholds of 30% and 15%. Those landmark achievements, management of Zenith Bank PLC said, will be sustained as it plans to improve on other business segments towards delivering enhanced returns to all shareholders. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And we're done from Lagos, but let's quickly remind you that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on YouTube at NTA News Online. You can also visit our Facebook page at NTA Network News, our Twitter handle at NTA News Now, and on Instagram at NTA Network for updates. We'll take another break. Network News will continue when we return to stay.
Glad to have you back. Let's now have business news with Benny Adams.
Thank you, Henry, and welcome to business. With ongoing diversification of the Nigerian economy, the federal government is looking to generate more revenue through personal income tax by expanding the productive sector of the economy.
This revenue is generated, it is plowed back into services, welfare services, health services, social services, infrastructure. So when the economy improves in terms of expansion of infrastructure, health of citizens, then the GDP will go up. When GDP go up, our international reserves will also go up. And in that way, you can see Nigeria will benefit not only internally, but also externally.
And ahead of the 38th Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee meeting and the 26th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting scheduled for tomorrow, the 60th Joint Technical Committee of the Declaration of Cooperation noted the impact of the Russian-Ukraine crisis and the uncertainties related to the COVID-19 pandemic on energy and the oil market.
Our industry will continue to be confronted with major challenges in the years ahead, and multilateral energy cooperation will be the only way forward. It is with these reflections that I wholeheartedly salute this committee, whose dedication month in and month out have been admirable and indeed critical to us achieving our common goals.
And on the oil market, Barkindo noted that global oil demand is projected to rise by 4.2 million barrels per day in 2021. And moving on to the capital market, investors gained 47.53 billion naira as all share index inched up by 0.19% amid negative market breadth as equities closed at 47,482 basis points. Market capitalization appreciated to 25.5 trillion naira. 370.5 million shares valued at 7.8 billion naira exchanged hands in 6,045 deals. Seplat led 15 gainers as against 31 losers, topped by Catix at the end of transaction. FCMB, Transcap, and Zenith Bank led the activity chart. That is a business news. Network news continues after this break with Felicia in our Jos studios.
Thank you, Benny. Glad to have you join us in Jos. Governor Simon Lalong has urged the newly sworn-in president of Plateau State Customary Court of Appeal to uphold the virtues of integrity, impartiality, fairness, and justice in the discharge of her responsibilities. Saadatu Mohammed Kafa reports that 11 permanent secretaries were also sworn in.
Swearing in the new president of the Customary Court of Appeal, Governor Lalong urged her to take the court to the next level by identifying and tackling challenges that impaired the smooth administration of justice. He advised her to uphold the virtues of integrity, impartiality, fairness, and justice.
Our administration has since granted full autonomy to the judiciary, which makes it fully capable of operating without any limitation. Even within this autonomy dispensation, my administration is committed to collaborating with the judiciary in ensuring that our people get access to justice as and when due.
The new president of the Customary Court of Appeal, who has been presiding over the court in acting capacity following the demise of her predecessor, thanked the state government for finding her worthy to serve.
Our focus is to ensure that the judiciary is taken to a new height, and this new height involves ensuring that we go into computerization of processes, filing processes in the judiciary.
Governor Simon Lalong also swore in 11 permanent secretaries, urging them to boost governance with decisions that have direct bearing on the lives of the citizens. In Jos, Saadatu Mohammed Kafa, NTA News.
Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, is asking officers and men of the Nigerian Army to sustain efforts towards efficient service delivery. This was while addressing participants of Office Management and Document Security Workshop in Jos. Belkis Nuhu reports.
The workshop has at its theme enhancing the capacity of Nigerian Army clerks for improved professionalism in office management and document security.
It will help us to secure our documents in our offices.
The Nigerian Army the credit for organizing a comprehensive and organized seminar of such.
Virtually all the operations are dependent on the effectiveness and efficiency of office management.
To help me enhance my efficiency in performance of my duty.
The Chief of Army Staff represented says the training has become pertinent given the current security challenges in the cyberspace, hence the need to deploy more technologically advanced strategies to combat crimes and criminalities. He charged the participants to ensure they take advantage of the workshop to sharpen their skills for efficient service delivery.
This workshop will enable the clerks to be able to meet up with the standards of document security, office management, in order to protect our documents.
The workshop drew participants from the 3 Division, Joint Task Force, Operation Hadinkai, and other security agencies on the plateau. In Jos, Bilkis Nuhu, NTA News.
That report wraps it from Jos. Network news continues shortly after the break in Abuja with Ian Ray.
Let's have a bit of sports now with Olumide Ekuntola as our guide.
The 11th edition of the Daniel Akodobi Foundation Charity Golf Tournament ended at the Ikoyi Golf Club with winners emerging in 9 categories. The annual golf tournament, which featured about 200 amateur golfers, created another platform for golfers to raise funds for charity projects. Angela Adegboyega emerged the overall ladies gross winner, while Peter Spiv was the gross winner in the men's category.
Through that, we raised some awareness, and at the same time, some of them are very willing to help.
In a related development, inspired by the president of ICANN, Comfort Eitayo, Kola Afolabi emerged the winner of the 2021-2022 ICANN President Golf Tournament held at the Ikeja Golf Course. He played off handicap 27 with a gross of 95 and returned a net score of 68. Linda Obieze won the female category after she played off handicap 15 gross score of 87, and net score of 72.
To enhance integrity, and that's what we stand for. So we want to symbolize and lend our support to what stands for integrity.
Now to polo. The Nigerian Navy and the Lagos Polo Club have instituted the Chief of Naval Staff Polo Cup as part of trophies to be competed for at the club. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awan Gambo, said the values of the game is in line with the tenets of the Nigerian Navy and will help boost efforts to gain support of civilians to achieve national security. The Nigerian Navy team defeated Duranti Fools Ibadan 8-7 in one of the matches decided at the maiden edition of the cup. In another news, founder of the Nigerian Triathlon Union, Larry Glover, has charged the newly inaugurated board to uphold the values of the sport and also work towards the sport being recognized at the National Sport Festival soon. He made a call at the union's elections, which saw the return of Wale Oladunjoye as president of the Nigeria Triathlon Union for another tenure of 4 years.
Encouraging youths in the country to participate in sporting activities, this takes them away from crime and drugs.
Finally, in boxing, the 118th edition of Lagos Boxing Show was held at the Teslim Balogun Stadium with the introduction of the weight categories approved by the International Boxing Federation, IBF.
From light flyweight, which is 48 kilograms, to 100 and above. That is super heavy.
There were a total of 10 bouts at the monthly boxing show. With sports updates, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
And that concludes NTA Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching, and please be reminded that rape is a crime. Speak up and take action. I'm Ian Ray John. Have a good night.